President Joe Biden just because he's pro-women. And I also think of, this happens to be catty corner behind the building where I live. I also think of the Brandy Carlisle song, Josephine, take me back, Josephine, to that cold and dark December. So I don't remember the rest of the words, but I still am technically, but I went through a whole thing. I was a huge Brandy Carlisle phase, and I even sort of had grown my network, if you will. At least I thought I did. And we went to two Brandy Carlisle concerts. One in Delaware. Get that? You know, she was at like a Grand Opry. It was an opera house in Delaware, and she played there. And I went with people who I met at the dog park. And this is, you know, I wound up walking their dogs and everything. And it was like a thing where everybody, it was sort of like a lesbian community, and some people would be like, oh, you know, we should hire her, but also people were friends. It wasn't just a business relationship. So anyway, good morning. Right, no cars on this block. Anyway, we also saw her at the boardwalk in Atlantic City, Boardwalk Hall. And for that concert, enough people had to sign up. This was like 2010. So enough people had to sign up in order for it to be worthwhile for the band to show up there. And with that, a bunch of people must have rallied just enough to get her to show up. Her and the band, she and the band. So that's that. Anyway, we are on Sansom Street, heading east. I started at 17th, where there's a Palomar Hotel, and heading this way. It's about 6:30 a.m. So trying to avoid the usual craziness of the city right now. We've had extremely high temperatures, although yesterday it rained. So it's a Saturday, and I'm, you know, do my best to dodge bullets, right? Literally and figuratively, metaphorically, except for this little one. They did something different to the Jazz Cafe. There used to be like a mural here. In fact, it was almost 3D. Like they would have brass, like it would be a jazz band with figures, and they actually had like brass instruments. And I thought it kind of stuck out from the wall. Now it's painted. It's actually brown in person with a slight copper tint. With the camera, it looks very copper, but it's not metal at all. It's just painted cement, like stucco or whatever that material is. So they changed Chris's Jazz Cafe. I could never get into jazz. It was one of those things, I know it's supposed to be like put on. I know it's supposed to be one of those things that you grow to appreciate, or it's a put on. So why do some of us wind up in certain, other than parental direction or a natural affinity to like this music or that music, or wind up on this path or that path? Could other things be going on? And it's like a cloak, like we need these people, we need a certain population to like jazz, so they will learn the appreciation of jazz. You see what I mean? And there are people out there and they wondered, like, why did I like this, or why did I like that? Maybe they had a life-altering situation and it completely pulled the cloak off, and now they like something totally different they never thought they would be, you know. So I don't want to minimize people's experiences, but there is something to this. So say there was a vending machine of feelings or likes or passions, and then some people, like, I could see, like, in the church world or similar, any religious world, it would be like push through, like, say everything's great in your marriage, and then one day, we'll go with that, you know, you're like, I'm done, and you can't figure out how to push through that. You're like, no, that's it, we're done. That would be someone who's been manipulated their whole lives, you know, even for the original marriage. So it's not, you know, it's hard to explain. Some people think they're in googly goo love, and what if it's a put on? And what if the group or a specific person who can do it, dare I say a puppet master, can, you know, what if that person passes away and can't give you the mojo any longer? And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm done, I need to move on. I can't even change my mind. So, a new way to help divorcees or people in similar situations. Maybe it's a business partner, or maybe you thought you were gonna own your own practice. We'll go with that. And you're like, I can totally do this, and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden your life changes on a dime before you can actually, like, get the money or open up a practice. So anyway, I decided to walk on the dirty side of Sansom here this morning. Sansom is one of these streets, like, at night a lot of people, you know, will come out and do the restaurant thing, the bar thing. We're officially in the neighborhood. Once we crossed over Broad Street, we wound up in the neighborhood-ish. So really 13th and 12th would be the heart of, and they have a bunch of restaurants and restaurants to prove it kind of thing. You know, it's a hot spot, and that's just the way it's always been, I guess. Even in Miami, San Francisco, Philadelphia, New York. New York has Greenwich Village, but typically it's just whatever. Okay, that's just the way it is. Also, a little secret, I guess. It's not that big a secret, but most, like, in major big cities, neighborhood seems to be planted around 11, 12, 13. Like 12th Street will run through it at some point. So somehow it winds up in these enclaves within cities, and it's in a way easily marked. You know what I mean? So if every city has a neighborhood on 12th Street, sorry. If every city has a neighborhood on